You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning.
Welcome to the Jester Section Hiker Podcast, with the spotlight on section hikers.
And I'll spread the word, and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come. And we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the podcast. Austin and I are back this week to talk to you about another episode of our Mountains to Sea Trail docuseries titled I Am The MST. And this week we are going to give you a behind the scenes or a tell-all. Okay, I stole the tell-all from The Bachelorette or The Bachelor. You know how they have the tell-all? Okay, so that's where I got that from. Austin's laughing like, oh my God. So this is Jester and Austin's tell-all on how we put these episodes together. So Austin, welcome back to the show.
Great to be here.
And thank you for saying yes and partnering with me on all this mess.
Saying yes multiple times. Saying yes to things you don't know what you're saying yes to. That's yeah. But thanks for coming up with all these great ideas.
Like, I haven't steered you wrong yet.
No,
right? I mean, we haven't.
That's why I keep saying yes.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there could be a time where it's like, no, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But welcome back, everybody. And some housekeeping notes here. If you've listened to the past couple episodes, thank you for listening. If you've watched part of our series, whether that was the trailer, the first episode, The Vision, or last week's episode that released was The Foundation, we truly, truly appreciate it. And we hope, our fingers are crossed, that you all will join us next weekend, September the 24th, in Hillsborough, North Carolina, for what we are calling our premiere of Beverly Scarlett's episode, The Foundation. We are going to be at the Hillsborough, North Carolina, the main branch library, which is in downtown Hillsborough. And yeah, it's official. We have a sponsor. The Mebane Trail Rangers are providing coffee and muffins for all of you as you arrive. And the library holds 95 people. And we visualize packing the house. Austin, what do you think?
The house will definitely be packed. If I see that it's not, I'm going to have a stack of $5 bills. I'm going to go out on the sidewalk and give them out to people to come in. So if you read between the lines there, all you have to do is wait out on the sidewalk and I'll come and give you $5 to come in.
You know what? We're going to pay you. Not only are we going to pay you to come,
feed you. Yeah.
We're going to feed you. We are. The Mebane Trail Rangers are going to feed you. So you guys, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. The library didn't cost us a thing. I just pretty much called and badgered this lady and said, I want to come and show this. Oh, and Austin, you don't know this yet. I'm going to need you to go to Hillsborough and check out the tech at the library.
I can probably manage that.
Okay. I know
it's a slightly shorter drive for me than it is for you, so I can manage that.
Yeah, it was. I'm supposed to make an appointment with somebody. I don't know. We'll have to work that out, but we'll work it out.
We will work it out.
And you guys, this is how it goes with me and Austin. So you get to hear a little bit of how we put things together. So we hope you will join us for that. And then the weekend of October 6th through the 9th, the Hiking Radio Network, in conjunction with the Woods Hole Hostel, owned and managed and operated by Neville, Harris. And if you know anything about the Appalachian Trail, I am sure you have heard of the Woods Hole Hostel. We are hosting a retreat that weekend. And for this episode, I'm going to read you a little bit about what you're going to experience if you join us. It does cost money. For this weekend retreat. Neville has on her website, are you ready to turn your dream of through hiking or section hiking the historic Appalachian Trail into a reality in the near future? Then you won't want to miss this very special weekend retreat held at Woods Hole Hostel. You will be taught by, and I laugh, yours truly, Mighty Blue or Steve Adams. I don't know why I say I laugh. I kind of know what I'm talking about. Steve Adams or Mighty Blue. Paul Collins, or also known as Skunk Ape, will be there. He's going to be telling us his experience or sharing with us how he hammocked all the way up the Appalachian Trail. And then Clay Bonnyman Evans, or also known as Pony, will be there as well. And guess what? Austin's going to be there as well.
Yeah, but I will not be there as a Appalachian Trail expert at all. That's not my forte. I've actually not done a whole bunch of AT hiking. However, I will be there in a new capacity.
Oh, that's what you said before. Yes.
Yeah, the new capacity, which is very exciting. So don't ask me about AT stuff. I can tell you about camping, but yeah, I won't be there to talk much. I'll talk to you afterwards, but.
There you go. Yeah. So I've got the website pulled up, and I'll give you a little bit of a taste. So when the weekend starts, we're going to go on a little backpack trip. We're going to do a couple miles on the AT. We're going to talk about setting up tents. We're going to talk about hanging your bear bag. We're going to talk about hiker etiquette. And we're going to hang out around a campfire. And then we're going to hike out the next day. We're going to go to Woods Hole Hostel, and that's when the workshops will start. Some of the topics are gearing up, getting ready. When should you start? Winter, spring, summer. What are the bubbles? What's Nobo mean? What's Sobo mean? Going to town, resupplying. I mean, there's so much stuff I can't even read all this. Of the things that we're going to be talking about and going over. And yeah, for 4 days, we're going to talk all things Appalachian Trail and how you get ready to through hike or section hike the trail. And spots are limited. I'm hoping at this point we are full and we have a waiting list, but you never know. So if you're interested, there will be a link in the show notes, and we hope you join us.
It'll be good times.
It'll be good times, and you'll get to meet Austin. Oh, which, by the way, Skunk Ape told me that... So all of the individuals that attend the Woods Hole weekend, you guys will be either staying in the hostel, and Neville has these like little bungalows. You'll either be in the bungalow, but those of us that are the presenters and Austin, we are going to be roughing it in our tents or our hammocks. And Skunk said he's going to bring some hammock stands that we can stay in.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So there you go.
I might try to get Skunk Ape in a tent just to see if it'll happen. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't even think he owns one. Although I had him very intrigued in the X-Mid.
Well, I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll have my X-Mid Pro by then.
Ooh, yes.
That might intrigue him. We'll see.
I'm telling you what, I mean, we could go on a whole nother tangent. I'm very impressed with the X-Mid, but now we got to move on to what we are supposed to be talking about. So September 24th, we want you to join us in Hillsboro. And then if you are interested in the future, hiking the AT, whether section hiking, slack packing, the through hiking, whatever you want to call it, whatever term you got, we're going to handle it. We're going to go over it. So join us there. And then after that, I'm pretty positive Austin and I are going to have some future things going on. And now we're going to talk about our series, I Am The MST, and this episode specifically about putting the title of this episode and the one that came out today over on Austin's channel is The Partners. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Austin, get your thoughts on what we did to put this together.
So the thought process here was, we've talked, so the vision talked about the genesis of the trail, who had the idea, how did the idea become a thing? And the foundation, we talked about the history of the trail, the history of the ground that we walk on, if that makes sense. And so the partners goes back to the mechanics of creating the trail, because it's one thing to draw a line on the map and say this is where we want the trail to go, but that line on the map might go through a state park, it might go through a national park, it might go through somebody's backyard, it might cross a river, there's all these different places that it goes. And so the partners speaks to all of the coordination that has to happen. One of the coolest things, and it just happened to be the way it worked out. When we interviewed Mike Parker and Les Love, we got to interview them together. There were two people that we wanted to interview them, and we had coordinated separately, and it just happened to be, they're like, yeah, well, let's meet on, such and such a day. And we're like, awesome. And so it was
and
almost...
Les got Mike there because something happened to Mike's email and this, that, and the other. And, he and I, didn't communicate. And Les was like, yeah, Mike's coming. We'll be there at 10.
But it just drove the point home so well that you've got, Les Love, who is Mr. Carolina Mountain Club, he even had his... Oh,
Mr. Trail Maintenance, too.
Yeah,
oh, my God.
He even had on his trail maintenance stuff because he was going to go do some trail maintenance after the interview. But having, a Carolina Mountain Club guy and a member of the Eastern Band of Cherokee sitting next to each other talking was like, well, yeah, this is the partners. And then Les is talking about all the work that he did.
And we're sitting on the Mountains to Sea Trail in the Qualla boundary of the Eastern Band of Cherokee, interviewing these guys.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. I mean, when we were hiking with Les just took off at it. I was like, oh my God, here we go.
If I have half the energy at his age, I'll be happy. The man's amazing. But yeah, so the partners is speaking to all the coordination that has to happen. Jeff even talked about it a little bit, talking about the Falls Lake Trail, talking about all the environmental studies that had to be done, even talking about the name of the river just flew out of my head, but the bridge that they had to build, and the bridge had to be helicoptered in.
Where was that in segment 10?
I want to say it was 4.
4. Okay. I can't.
Catawba River, maybe that's the one sticking out in my head, but that might not be right. But anyways, like Jeff was talking about this whole process that went into, first off, identifying that a bridge was needed, then talking to the Forest Service, the Park Service, and whoever the government agencies were that owned the land, and then all the checks and processes that had to go through to say that, yes, a bridge is okay here. It's not going to destroy some endangered species or something like that. And then the mechanics of getting the materials there and making it safe. And it was just fascinating.
Oh my God, it's coming back to me. So when we were sorry, Austin, when we were interviewing, and this is exactly what you're talking about. When we were interviewing Jeff, the whole time he had this huge 3-ring binder that was green. I remember it vividly. And I was like, I wonder if he's going to talk about that binder. And toward the end, all of a sudden, he just reaches over and gets the binder and opens it and starts talking about this was all these letters.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is before the internet. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, this is what we had to do. We wrote these letters to the government agencies, whether it was Forest Service or land managers or land conservancies or whoever. And you guys, this binder was huge. I mean, and we're flipping through it. And this is just some of the things that I'm so glad we're talking about this, because people would never see this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it kind of goes back to, we dabbled a little bit with the foundation last week. Everyone, people made a sacrifice. Somebody made a sacrifice. And it didn't have to, sometimes the sacrifice isn't this, falling on the sword, some dramatic sacrifice. Like, you look at the time and effort that some of these folks have put into creating this trail. That's the sacrifice. Somebody, the countless hours that Alan DeHart was drafting letters and banging on people's doors to make this thing happen.
And these are volunteers.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people.
Nobody's getting paid.
These are people that they have the same passion that we do, even though it might be geared toward, writing a letter so they can, put that bridge somewhere, or, partnering with the Carolina Mountain Club so, they can build trail in a particular area. And Les Love is an amazing storyteller. And, I tried to not warn Austin, but I think I was like, all right, look out. Les Love is like, and was the idea that you had in your mind about Les, was that what came to fruition for you when he was telling these stories? Well,
so at the gathering, like, this project's been such an eye opener for me, because I'm brand new to this whole Friends of the Mountain Sea Trail organization. Like, it was just a name. It was just an organization that had a website that had some good stuff for me to be able to hike the trail up until about 6 months ago. And so learning who all these people are. So Les Love was a name on a roster to me when we walked into the gathering. But man, just listening to him talk at the gathering and then getting to talk to him during the interview is just such a treat. He's such an amazing individual. And the work that he's done, golly, for the Mountains of Sea Trail. I mean, and Les is on the board as well for the Friends. He's a current board member. And we should have said last week that Beverly is a current board member for the Friends of the Mountains of Sea Trail. Nope. I don't know if we said that or not. And the other gentleman that we mentioned, Mike Parker, that is in this episode, he's also a board member of the Friends of the Mountains of Sea Trail. And he works for the Eastern Band of Cherokee, and he is Cherokee himself. So I'll set the stage for you guys for the interview, particularly that we had in mind for this episode is, okay, so we meet Mike and Les at the trailhead, and, we're prepared to hike. And, they get there and it's like, we grab a couple chairs. Next thing I know, we're like, going straight uphill, to wherever, to the koala boundary, to a particular area where they're going to blaze some new trail down into a particular waterfall where you could take a side trail. You can have a side trail adventure off of the Mountains of Sea Trail. And I don't know, we get to a flat place on the trail. We set these chairs up. I'm standing on the trail. Mike and Les are sitting in these chairs. And you guys, Austin was like in weeds. I was like perched on this dead log, like 5 feet off the trail.
I was worried. I was like, I hope there's no poison ivy. Yeah, I mean, one camera is on a... Did you have one on a tree? How did you have... Let's talk about that, because we haven't talked about that. Like,
yeah, so that it wasn't really like flat, so I had to kind of rig up the tripods to be steady. But like normally, all of our interviews up to this point had been one individual getting interviewed, and so I had both cameras on them. And so this time I had to separate it. So one camera got, Les got his camera and Mike got his camera. Les got the cheap camera, so his footage.
Sorry, Les.
Sorry, Les. Well, it was and this is part of my learning experience through all of this. Like, I've learned what to do and what not to do with cameras. So like Les's footage it just makes me pull my hair out every time I watch it, because the focus just. Anyways, it's too technical.
And
as far
I
as
look at it and go, "Oh, it's wonderful."
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I messed up Les's camera. So we got great audio and mediocre video, but it doesn't take away from anything he said. But yeah, that was an interesting interview because I had those 2 cameras, and then like I was just holding the GoPro because the GoPro was a nice wide angle. And then like obviously if you set up chairs in the middle of a trail, eventually you're going to have somebody walk up. And so we had those 2 ladies and their dog show up and like, and
it was like a commercial. I went into a commercial for the Mountains to Sea Trail.
Yeah. I mean, well, I know it's funny how the trail provides, but like what a crazy opportunity for them as hikers to just be like on a Saturday hike in Soco Gap and then run into 3 board members of the Mountains to Sea Trail, filming a documentary, like
crazy.
So who knows? Maybe they're listening to this podcast now.
Maybe they're listening. I don't know if I gave them anything. Yeah, but we gave them the spiel, mountainstoseatrail.org.
Yeah, they definitely got the 5-minute pitch. But,
so we've kind of set the stage for you guys how, we recorded these interviews. And at this point, I think in this stage, you and I both had in our minds kind of how we wanted this. I would say this was more directed in the questions, from a standpoint of kind of what we wanted them to talk about. We knew we wanted Les to tell a story about partnering with the Eastern Band of Cherokee. But really what we learned was so much more.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
well, I mean, like I don't even know if we'll mention it in the episode, but the side trail to Soco Falls that they're building, the branch off the MST, because they're literally cutting trail out of the mountain for that. Yeah. But it's going to be, there's been legitimate plans, and it's gonna happen. And all the work that went into it, and Soco Falls, and that was Mike. Yeah. Mike and the Eastern Band of Cherokee are the driving force behind that. And I think it's going to be so neat to open up Soco Falls, because right now, and Mike was 100% right when he said it, like it's just the falls are beautiful, but there's no way to get to them. That the parking lot that's right there on the highway is, when it's full, it's full, and even when it's even if there is a parking space, it's just flat out hazardous to park there, and we went there, and it was crazy. Yeah. So this is going to be able to open up those falls, make it much more accessible. Make it more of a destination, like a hiking destination. Yeah. Like even when we were there, you park, you walk down the 100 yards or whatever it is, you see the falls, and you're like, okay, well, this is it. And then we walk back up to the car. But that side trail, it's going to make it more of an experience, which I think is really neat. You'll be able to park, do a 30-minute hike, however long that you decide to do, have lunch at the falls, and then hike back to the car, or however you want to do it. It's gonna create such a cool experience. And unfortunately, we just, with the way that the storyline works and the time, like we probably won't be able to really tell that story the way it should be told. And right. And
you guys, they sent us the plans.
Yeah.
We literally have. I don't know if they're architect. They are architect drawings.
Those are landscape architect drawings.
Yeah. It was like no big deal. Les was like, hey, Mike, send them the stuff. Yeah. It was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then something that made me cherish, this episode and this interview more was we had already interviewed Beverly. Mm-hmm. So I even absorbed more the fact that, we were interviewing these guys on, Cherokee land. Yeah. It's called the Koala Boundary. And, Mike was even showing us like, this is part of the boundary, over here's part of the boundary. And, as hikers, we're hiking through, and a lot of times we're thinking about water. Oh, I'm starving. I need to eat. Where's the shelter? Where am I going to tent tonight? Oh, my back hurts, or just whatever. But now, like you said, it's just like, even with this interview, it's just the ground is even different for me. It's just like, is that what you find?
Absolutely.
It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It just gives you that much deeper appreciation. But is it, what I, just sitting there watching, cause I just got to watch the interview, watching the interview and listening to Les talk about, like they're talking about, building these trails on the Blue Ridge Parkway around the tunnels and that kind of thing. And Les is like, well, has anybody gone to talk to the Cherokee?
Yeah.
And so like Les is that guy, but then, it was like listening to how his story began. And then, even though the story's not ending, but like during the interview, like there's a member of the Eastern Band of Cherokee sitting right there. Like he was the one that created that relationship.
Yeah.
And now that, Mike's on the board of the Friends. So there's that partnering, that relationship that was created because of the trail. And so that's just one story of many, but I just thought it was so neat to have that, you could see the results of all that work right there sitting in front of us.
Yeah. It was incredible. And, I think the partners, it's going to tell a story of, on the Mountains of Sea Trail, in the mountain portion, a lot of the trail crosses, the Blue Ridge Parkway. And the Blue Ridge Parkway is an entity in and of itself,
Yes.
that's managed.
It's got a superintendent just like every other national park. Yeah.
Just like every national park. So when the Mountains of Sea Trail wants to do something, they have to call the Blue Ridge Parkway. They have to call the Eastern Band of Cherokee. They have to incorporate, in particular areas, the Carolina Mountain Club, if they're, the partners who are building that trail.
Mm-hmm.
They have to talk to landowners. That, it's just all these things. And the partners episode started, with that in mind, hey, let's talk about all this. And then we have that, but it's also, we found in other interviews that how can we as individuals partner with the trail?
Yeah.
I'm not a big entity. I'm not this, I'm not that. So for me, the episode went from, yes, in order for the trail to operate and be this brown path, or the sidewalk I'm walking on, or the state park I'm going through, it takes, a lot of people. But then we also incorporated what it takes from us, the people.
Yes. And that's probably, I use the term, the so what, but that's the so what of this episode is that we talk a lot about the partners that got us to this point. But I said in a previous episode, there's not one person out of all the people that we've talked to and all the people that had a hand in creating this trail. There's not one person that says, I'm the person, I'm the guy, I'm the gal.
I'll never.
Because it took everyone doing their part. And so that's the so what of this episode is that, we all have a part. The title of the series is I Am The MST, and we chose that for a reason. We all are a part of this trail. We all have a part in its future and maintaining it. And maintaining it can take a lot of different forms, whether that's donating money to the Friends of the Mountains Sea Trail, whether that's showing up for a work day, whether that's just picking up trash. I think that when we interviewed Brent, he was the one that talked about, like, if you just pick up one piece of trash off the trail, you're helping that trail. You're helping the trail be better for the next person. And that's what it's all about, making it better for the person behind you. And so if all you do is pick up one little candy wrapper that somebody left, you're making the trail better. You're a partner. We're all partners in this trail.
And I'm looking at some of the things on our storyboard for this episode, and I don't know if these clips will make it or not, in the final cut, but it's just like, Betsy Brown, who works for the Friends organization, she has a little clip where she talks about local champions. And, people being like local champions in their area, and Brent saying, there's the part where there's a treasure. I've lost it.
Small part of a much
that?
bigger treasure.
Yes. Where he talks about how, you can be, you meaning whoever, be a small part of something that's big.
Yeah.
And if everybody took care of, their part, and people are.
Yeah.
And you guys, even in the trailer, there's a clip with Jennifer Browndorf, who really has partnered with Keep Durham Beautiful. I think that's the group. And they're cleaning up the trail.
Yep. When I went out to film, when I filmed that little clip, that was actually the morning we were interviewing Howard. But they just happened to be meeting at the same place that we were meeting Howard just an hour earlier. So I showed up there an hour early. And they were breaking up into, there was probably 20 people. It was a good showing. But they met right there at Blue Jay County Park and broke up into teams. And then they went out to different trailheads and they picked up trash at trailheads. And the only thing that it cost them was a couple hours of their time on a, whatever day that was, Saturday morning. And that's
not that much time, because honestly, they had, by the time we got there, interviewed Howard, and we're getting ready to leave, I mean, they had, I don't know how many bags of garbage, and they were wrapping up.
Yeah. Truckloads.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take much. And you don't even have to show, Jennifer will probably be mad at me for saying this, but you don't have to show up to one of those trash pickup days to pick up trash on the trail. You can donate money. Right. Or just go get yourself a trash can and go pick up trash. And then this is where it translates, for those that don't live in North Carolina, that aren't, close to the Mountains of Sea Trail. The sad truth is there's trash everywhere on every trail. And so if what did we say it was? The 11th essential is a
the trash bag. Yeah.
Bring a trash bag out every time you go outside. And even if it's just a little piece of trash, that's one little piece that is not there anymore that you've picked up. So,
yeah.
So every trail, no matter if it's in North Carolina or in Oregon or in wherever else, if you pick up trash, you're helping that trail, and it doesn't cost you a dime.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things, the beauty of this episode, and how these episodes, even though they're individual episodes, from the vision to the foundation, that dirt path you're walking on, think about, who sacrificed, who paid a price, to what partners, what entities, I think of the musical Hamilton. I don't know why. In the room where it happened. You know what I mean? There's a song they sing in the room where it happened. And I just think of these groups of people getting together and going, no, that's so-and-so's land. No, this is our land. No, that's not going to work. You can't cross the parkway there. And we as hikers, we're just walking through like.
Right. Smooth sailing. We don't, if you don't stop and take time to appreciate the fact that you just crossed from federal U.S. federal land to Eastern Band of Cherokee land, you don't appreciate the fact that didn't just happen. That trail, that there were at a minimum a conversation that had to happen. It's an amazing story, and again, we just kind of skim the surface.
Yeah,
but there's so much out there.
Yeah. So the partners, it was a fun interview with Les Love and Mike Parker. and, how all this is coming together, and, other voices of people that we interviewed, as we're chatting, they're entering my mind right now. And then we kind of moved to next week's episode titled The Legacy. And that is another special, unique episode in and of itself. So anything else you want to say about the partners before we wrap up here?
No, go watch it.
Yeah, there you go. So
go watch it
all
on
of
Side
these,
Trail Adventures.
Yes. All of these episodes for our series, I Am The MST, are found over on Austin's YouTube channel, which is in the link in the show notes, or you can just go to YouTube and type in Side Trail Adventures. And so now you have the trailer, you have the vision, you have the foundation, and today's episode released the partners. Go watch it, give us feedback. And you guys, we'll be back next week. As always, everything will be in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Be safe out there, everybody, and happy section hiking.
Good times.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning light. I wonder if you'd wander with me, and I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods. You're wondering if I go wandering with you, what kind of trouble we'll get ourselves into. Would it be wrong to tag along with a band of vagabonds? You wonder if I'd wander with you. So I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river. I'm wondering if you'd come wandering my way, if you ever get lost or if the trail leads you astray. The music of the pack can always bring you back. I wonder, can we wander away? And I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river.